Okay, welcome everyone to this virtual community meeting to discuss NPA 2025-0020.04. If you haven't done so already, if you could let us know who is here in the chat box by typing your name and organization if you are associated with one. I'll use this as my sign-in sheet. This meeting is being recorded and will be publicly posted to the publicinput.com/neighborhood plan amendment cases website tomorrow morning. If you do not want your image viewed publicly, you could turn off your camera, please. So as you know, this property is in the South Congress Combined Neighborhood Planning Area, the Sweetbriar part of the plan. NPA, the case number is NPA 2025-0020.04. Mark Walters will be the facilitator tonight. My name is Maureen Meredith. I am the Plan Amendment Case Manager. Nancy Estrada is the Zoning Case Manager, and this is our contact information. The agenda tonight, I'll go over basic case information, guidelines for group discussion, how to participate in this process. Why is there a plan amendment application? What is a future land use map, also called a FLUM? After staff presentation, Alice Glasgow, the applicant's agent, will do a presentation. Then we will go into a Q&A session of the meeting. The case information for the plan amendment, the property addresses are 6111, 6113, and 6119 South Congress Avenue. It's 8.03 acres. The case number is NPA 2025-0020.04. Project name is Congress Views. The future land use map request is to go from mobile home and higher density single family land use to mixed use land use. There is an associated zoning case, and it is C14 2025-0096. The zoning request is to go from MHNP, which is Mobile Home Residence District Neighborhood Plan, to GRDB 90 NP, which is Community Commercial District Density Bonus 90 Neighborhood Plan. Property owner applicant is Congress Corner LLC, and the agent is Alice Glasgow from Glasgow Consulting. Guidelines group discussion, type your name into the chat at any time during the meeting. The Q&A session will begin after staff and applicant presentations. You can ask questions by raising your hand in the by clicking on the hand symbol in the menu bar. Telephone participants can ask questions during the Q&A part of the meeting, and staff will call out the last 4 digits of your phone number. If we have similar questions, they may be grouped and answered together, and we ask that you be respectful to each other during the discussion. How to participate. So as I mentioned earlier, the meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the publicinput.com/neighborhood plan amendment cases website. And this should be the same website where you clicked on the link to get to this meeting tonight. You can email or call me and Nancy with any questions or comments that you have. If you provide written comments, we will include them in the staff case reports when the cases are scheduled for Planning Commission and City Council. If you live or own property within 500 feet of the site, you will get that notice in the mail with the date, time, and location of the Planning Commission and City Council hearings. And it will also include instructions on how to participate in the hearings, both in person and online. What is a neighborhood plan amendment? So neighborhood plans are adopted by City Council as amendments to the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. City charter requires zoning changes to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, and most neighborhood plan amendments are a change to the future land use map, and most have an associated zoning application. This map shows the areas in blue that have City Council approved neighborhood plans and future land use maps. This is the plan document for the South Congress Combined Planning Area, and it has the vision and goals of the planning area. It also has a future land use map where the colors on the map represent broad land uses. For this property, the existing land use is higher density single family, which is shown in kind of that light green, and mobile home, which is that tan color, and the proposed land use is mixed use, which is the brown. And this is a zoomed in part of that previous map that shows a high density single family land use on that top part of the property and the mobile home land use in that light beige to the south. This is an aerial photo that shows the property. This is the aerial photo with the future land use map overlaid on it. And you can see surrounding the property is brown, which is the mixed use land use. This is the zoning map, and the yellow shows the mobile home zoning on the property. Google map that shows some of the surrounding uses around the property. This is the Imagine Austin Growth Concept Map, where these colors represent regional centers, town centers, neighborhood centers, and activity corridors. The property has some frontage on South Congress Avenue, and you can see by that brown line, South Congress is designated as an Imagine Austin activity corridor. This shows some of the public transportation surrounding the property. That ends my presentation. I will stop sharing my screen and Alice can start her presentation.
Hey, thank you, Maureen, for going through the staff presentation. I'm Alice Glasgow, and I represent the property owner who is the applicant on this rezoning and neighborhood plan amendment request. I'm going to go ahead and share a zoning map just so we can have something to look at. Wait, screen share. This changed? Oh, right here. There we go. Can you guys see the zoning map?
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you. So Maureen just showed you some maps too that show the outline of the property. So it's just really south of Little Texas Lane, outlined here in yellow. As Maureen indicated, it's approximately 8.03 acres. To the south, you have North Bluff Drive to the south. And of course, the frontage is on South Congress Avenue. The proposed zoning is to change it from mobile home and high density as from the land use map, from a zoning standpoint, is zoned to allow mobile homes. The property has been vacant for the last 3 years. So there used to be mobile homes there, but they're no longer there. The property is currently vacant, undeveloped. So the request is to change it to GR community commercial combined with a density bonus overlay that is called DB90, density bonus 90. Under that ordinance, the requirements are that you are required to have some ground floor retail. So this development will have, once the zoning is approved, will have ground floor retail and then apartments above. The number right now for apartments is approximately 350 units. And out of those, 12% of those units under the DB90 density bonus ordinance would be affordable to folks who earn 60% of the median family income. And that's required by the ordinance, that you have an option of providing either 10% of your total units, and that is determined at the time of site plan and building permit when you have a final number nailed down, and also at the building permit stage when you have a building permit that has the final number of units. And at that point, the city housing department will enter into a restrictive covenant with the owner to ensure that those affordable units remain affordable for 40 years. So that's how that ordinance is structured for the density bonus program. That's all I have to say, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Yeah, well, thank you, Alice. This is Mark Walters. I'll be facilitating, excuse me, tonight's meeting. So does anybody have any questions? If so, as Maureen said at the beginning, raise your digital hand and I'll recognize you, or chat something in the questions. Put a question in the chat. Can't imagine that the presentations were so detailed that you don't have a question. So if not, I'll just go down my list and ask people if they have questions. And starting with Daniel and Jean Gerking, do you have any questions or comments?
We live on North Bluff Drive, and wondering how this will affect us and what should we plan on seeing on North Bluff Drive as the building goes up.
Well, the site plan has not been designed the way the city order of process is. You get your zoning first, and then after you get the zoning, then you get a civil engineer to prepare the plans and an architect at the same time. So you will be able to see what will be built at the time of site plan, which is the next step of the process after the zoning is approved. So we don't have a conceptual plan right now to share, but that will be available at a later date, and you'll also have a chance to see it at that time.
Will there be opportunity to have input or output on that part, or on the planning situation?
Yes,
the side.
Yes, the same people, you received notice on this one, so the same the notices for site plans also go to the property owners and residents and utility customers within 500 feet. So yes, you would be notified for that site plan. You can comment to the direct to the case manager at that time.
Do you have any concept of what North Bluff might look like when this is done, or when it is finished? What can we expect to see for this part of the plan?
Well, as you can see, that the lot itself is a little, outwardly shaped. So it'll, you're going to have, building facing Congress Avenue, and I don't know exactly how the architect's going to design it to, but North Bluff, I guess are you right behind here? Where are you on North Bluff? Am I pointing?
Yeah, we're right on the corner of Crow Lane and North Bluff.
Crow Lane right here. Are you right? Am I pointing in the right place right here?
Let's see.
Approximately.
This is North Bluff here.
Yeah, he is Crow Lane right here. This is North Bluff right here.
We live on the corner. We live on the corner of Crow Lane and North Bluff.
Right here somewhere. You can see that? I'm pointing somewhere along there.
We don't see your pointer.
Can you see the pointer?
No.
It's kind of lost in the aerial photo because there's a lot of white, and it's kind of hard to see. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so here's the side right here. Yeah, I'm going here, Doc. Can you see my pointer?
Yeah.
Well, there's the arrow. I think there you go. I think you are right. It kind of gets lost.
Just scrolling.
And then we go right here and we stop. The pointer stops right there.
Is that
yeah,
where
you're right. The pointer is white, and yeah. So I have an idea on what you are. In fact, I represented the developers who did the Crow Lane rezoning. I handled the rezoning there, and I don't know, Mark may remember, because we had to do a neighborhood plan amendment for that, the MF2 NP. So I'm familiar with, I know where you are. So we don't have a design yet, but you'll be notified when the site plan goes through, because the zoning is the first step, and until you get it, you don't spend a lot of money designing it. But you have to follow the city guidelines that address all the requirements in transportation, environmental, landscaping, water detention, water quality, tree preservation, and landscaping. All of those things, and your lighting requirements are in the section of the code that is called subchapter E, that addresses how lighting should be obviously directed away from you. So all of those things will be verified at the time of site plan. You're able to see exactly how those things are being addressed, as opposed to the time of zoning.
How long ago was the zoning change in effect on Crow Lane? Do you know?
On Crow Lane, I handled where you live. I think that the case I handled was in, part of that would have been in probably 07, 08.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, the neighborhood plan rezonings occurred in 2006, I think, somewhere in that time frame. It's been a
Okay.
minute, and so there was a following that. Alice's client wanted to have their property rezoned, so that's what she's referring to. So there was an area-wide rezoning back in the mid 2000s, and then the one that Alice just mentioned.
got it. Very good. Thank you.
And we have a question from a guest in the chat. It says, do you happen to know where the mobile home residence tenants were relocated to?
They all went to different places. So I don't know where they didn't go to a specific location. They have to find different places to go to. So I'm not one specific location.
Okay, thank you, Alice. Next person on my list here, I'm just going to go down the list and tell everybody's, Jean Adams, do you have a question or comment for Ms. Glasgow or from the staff?
Yes, thank you. I do, Mark. Alice, could you possibly put together or show us a table of what the current zoning allows for the maximum that it would allow and what your proposed zoning allows on that property?
Oh, I can tell you right now, under the current zoning of mobile home, a license for every mobile home park, you've got to have a license. The license that was approved on the site and still current is for 48 mobile homes and all RVs.
Okay.
So that's the most you can get there, as you can see, from the pads that were there, 48. Whereas with the proposed zoning, the apartments, multifamily, because you're going up, would be 350 apartments, and 42 of those would be affordable on-site for 40 years.
Okay. Do you have an idea of what the rent was for those mobile home sites?
No, I don't know what the rents are. I was not involved with the mobile home.
Okay.
Part of it.
Would it be possible to get that from the owner?
I can find out. I
Okay.
can certainly find out from him and to share what the rents were.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions, Jean?
Not at the moment, thank you.
So the next person on my list here is Jesus. Do you have any questions or comments?
So I live across the street on Congress, so right across from it. When they built the apartments right next door, are there any plans to do traffic studies? Because even these new apartments that they built, you can already tell that there's more traffic, or like the traffic patterns have changed. Is there any plans on traffic study?
A traffic study has not been required at this time, but maybe one will be required at the time of site plan. And that's when the transportation staff prefer having one at the time of site plan, because they know exactly how many units you have in commercial. And that's the time they are allowed to collect a street impact fee that goes towards street improvement in the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a person who registered as guest. If you have a question, you could unmute and ask your question. If not, I can move on to the next person.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome. And then the last person on my list who isn't either staff or Ms. Glasgow is Mario Cantu. Mario, do you have any comments or questions?
Yes, I just got a 2 or 3. I think the main one is kind of a little bit. I'm gonna come in a little bit behind from what Jean mentioned, and I think I can probably answer maybe a little bit of his question. I do recall that at the mobile home park, some of the rents were $400 and $500 a month. I don't remember anything being higher than $600. So based on that, I mean, that's some pretty deep affordability for those 48 mobile homes that were there before. Of course, we've lost that affordability. And then number two, I don't know, and Alice, maybe you can find this out. I don't know if the owner actually worked with the owners of the mobile homes to provide other locations or money or anything like that. But if not, then they were displaced. And there's nothing really, we can do about that other than just making sure that we do get some deep affordability on this. And I know it's DB90, but I just want to get clarification. I know there's two numbers with DB90. There's a 12% at 60% MFI, and there's a 10% at 50% MFI. And so who kind of picks and choose which one is it? Is it both, or is it one or the other?
It's one or the other, the way the ordinance is written. So a developer gets to decide whether they want to do the 5% at 10%. I mean, 10, sorry, that Mario, let me repeat that. 10% at 50% median income. That 10% would be for residents who earn 50% of the median income, or 12% of the units. You end up getting more units, but the median family income is at 60%. So it's one or the other.
So who dictates which number that's going to be?
The applicant, the developer decides, picks one of them. They have to pick one of them. The city does not. The ordinance is written, here are the requirements. You can do this, you can do 10% or 12%. Okay.
And so I mean, you've operated with us many times. You know how we operate with affordability, and I think based on what I just heard, as you said, that the developer picks it, the applicant, not the applicant, but the owner picks it. Based on the history of this property and the affordability previous to the zoning change, I would tend to say that 10% at 50 is going to be affordable. It's affordability. So I would say that would be something that we as citizens need to look at as well. The second thing to that is I think we mentioned to you in the past about lighting, shielded lighting. I know that you're going to have to go by what the city requires, but as you have seen in other cases that we have provided photographs to you, sometimes that doesn't happen. And since we have neighbors in close proximity, we want to make sure that there's no light pollution going within the other neighborhoods in close proximity. So we got to make sure that is taken care of. And the third thing that I did hear about was there's going to be commercial. We have to make sure that if the citizens and the neighbors in that close proximity are going to get commercial, that the commercial actually does take place and does not become dormant for 5, 6, 8 years like it is on the South Congress corridor, especially by the St. Elmo area, where it's kind of been the same case. We've had applicants come, they're going to provide commercial on the bottom, rental on top, and we still have those spaces that have not been rented because of the high costs of the rental space to be rented in order to have something. And so I would like to have, somewhat of a guarantee or a conversation in making sure that the commercial does get rented for the citizens that want to have something within close proximity to use in their area.
Yeah, Mario, so Mario, rental, for anything, whether it's housing or commercial, if you have an oversaturation, and I think for the commercial uses, there is just an abundance for every mixed use building that has ground floor retail, you end up having just an overabundance of it. Just like you have office space now that is, there's an abundance of it. And I've represented developer downtown next to Whole Foods, where downtowns on West 5th and 6th, where their ground floor retail sat for a while. They couldn't find tenants simply because there's just an overabundance of it. So if the market gets to dictate that, it's not something you can say, go ahead and bring it if you don't have the tenants. Then you also have competition of where they're going, and there's just a lot of it. So we can continue to talk about that at the contact team meeting. But you know, like I said, you and I have, this is my 8th case with your contact team. The last one, you know, with retail, but it's the market that really dictates. And of course, everyone wants to have tenants because it brings in revenue. Revenue generates tax base for the city. So I don't think anyone wants to intentionally leave their properties vacant without having any revenue.
Correct. And I think neighbors want to have the commercial there to where they can walk to and know that they're going to use it, and making sure that it's not dormant, you know, like the ones on the St. Elmo in Congress, that they're just sitting there right now, dormant, not being used. And you know, we just got to make sure that whether we have a lot of commercial or we have very little commercial, either way that it is, I would assume that because we have so much commercial, it would be cheaper and easier to get in. But I think it's the opposite right now.
Yeah, well,
And yes,
we continue to talk about it. I think it's something that's
Yes.
addressed throughout the city. This is not the only corridor that has commercial. You have all the major corridors downtown, you know, Burnett Road, everywhere throughout the city. So it's not unique to South Congress,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, we'll meet again, and we can discuss and have, you know, the neighbors join as well.
Yeah. Oh, so we can certainly continue to have that dialogue.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, now there's a question in the chat, then I'll go to Gene Adams after this question from the chat. This is from Daniel and Gene Kirking. It says, where the property abuts North Bluff, will there be an entrance, egress or ingress at that point? Will there be people driving onto or leaving the site from North Bluff?
Yeah, all driveway entrances and exits will be determined by the city transportation department staff. They'll get to approve all driveways. So, and the fire department always prefers to have 2 ingress and egress points, so that if there's a problem on South Congress, that there's a way to get out for a fire safety requirement. So my assumption is that you'll have an entrance from Congress and entrance from North Bluff for fire safety.
But at this point, since you haven't gone through the site planning process, you really have you have an expectation, but you don't know for sure.
Correct.
That fair?
I'm wondering what will be the implications for commercial and building along North Bluff?
The commercial is required on Congress.
Okay.
You're not North Bluff. No, just on Congress.
There is no inclusion whatsoever on North Bluff Drive.
I don't think that's for most projects. You've seen all the mixed use projects, and for this client, if you can look at the project, the Anderson, it's on West Anderson Lane. You can never look an idea of what it is. It has similar vertical mixed use zoning. So the ground floor retail is on West Anderson Lane, and everything that goes backwards away from Congress is all apartments and underground garage. So it's the typical design for such projects is that your retail is just located along the transit corridor where it's actually required. That's what the code calls for. It's your principal entrance. So it's going to be unlikely it's going to have any retail. It's not visible there, so it doesn't do one any good.
Well, it on the map that we have, there is a good portion of this that is alongside of that goes into North Bluff.
Yes, but it includes residential. Yeah, the zoning allows both residential and commercial, but the way the ordinance is written, it says that's where the commercial requirement is required to be on the principal roadway, which is going to be South Congress, the transit corridor.
Okay.
Okay, Gene, if you would ask your question or make your comment.
Thank you. Yeah, the one thing that I just wanted to put out there, and perhaps this has been somewhat considered, and it's a follow-up with what Mario was saying. The difference that I see in this project versus some of the others that are up and down Congress in the St. Elmo area is those were developed on previous existing commercial properties where there effectively wasn't any affordable housing in play, and those developers have come to the forefront and enabled affordable housing. My point on this project is that this project did have effectively affordable housing, which was removed or lost. And I just want to see that we can work to achieve that level of affordability if we can going forward with what may come about on this project. So that's just something I'll put out there on the table. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So does anybody else have any questions? If not, we can wrap the meeting up a little bit quicker. And Maureen, do you want to go tell the folks what the next steps in the process are going to be?
Yes, let's see. Let me pull up my presentation. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm trying to find my presentation one more time. There it is. Okay, here we go. Let me get to my, there we go. So what will happen next is I will meet with my long range planning team and we'll make a recommendation on the request to change the future land use map. We'll report back to them the questions, comments, and concerns expressed at this meeting tonight. We will pass our recommendation on to Nancy, the zoning planner, and she will meet with her team and they'll make a recommendation on the zoning request. Once we finalize staff recommendation, we'll start looking at planning commission hearing dates. Probably won't be until January at the earliest, although I don't know the exact date just yet. Anybody can keep in touch with me or Nancy to keep track of when the cases might be scheduled. But right now there has been no date finalized. Once the date is finalized, I'll reach out to the South Congress Planning Contact Team and let them know the date so they can submit a letter recommendation, although anybody can submit letters to staff and we can include it in the staff case report. Y'all can keep in touch with me and Nancy, like I said earlier, of any prospective dates, and you can provide any written comments and we'll include them in the staff case report.
Thank you, Maureen. So just to be clear, so you sound like you're going to be having a continuing conversation with folks in the community. Do the people who aren't in the contact team, do they know how to get in touch with you, Mario?
Yes, I went ahead and presented my email there. They can feel free to email me.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So not everybody's on the contact team, and it's a pretty big area. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody, here who wants to can stay engaged in the conversation. So,
correct. You're correct, Mark. That's why I presented my email that any of the neighbors that spoke prior to me on here at this meeting, that they can feel free to email me if they have any questions, which we asked here, if we need to ask again, or if there's things that they're thinking about after this meeting that they want to ask. I can send them an email and we can have a meeting with Allison and the contact team, and I can explain things in more detail with them.
that sounds like you have a plan there. Daniel and Jean Kirkink, I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
You have a question or comment?
Part of the concern that we have is, and especially in terms of North Bluff Drive. North Bluff Drive is a little street that cuts off and runs between I-35 and Congress Avenue. And there's quite a little traffic already on this street. And there have been very few improvements to the street in terms of sidewalks and those sorts of things. And I'm wondering it looks like there's a good portion of your building that will butt up against North Bluff or have direct access to North Bluff Drive. And I'm wondering how traffic patterns will be addressed and how that fits into the overall plan.
Again, the traffic part of the process is addressed at the time of site plan when the transportation staff actually get to review the plan and then advise accordingly. There will be sidewalks will be required on Congress and North Bluff Drive along just the portion of the property. But part of the review and analysis from the transportation staff, they'll be able to explain further how, what their plans are for sidewalks in the area and how much money they have to complete the sidewalk network. So while developers are required to provide sidewalk for the frontage that they have, in working with the transportation staff because of the money they will be collecting from this project, should we get the zoning, then the fees they use, those as impact fees, transportation impact fees, go towards addressing things like your sidewalks where you do not have a complete network of sidewalks where there are gaps, and those funds get to be funneled into those areas, but they'll get to have that kind of assessment at the time of site plan review.
And if not mistaken, the sidewalks on North Bluff would be a kind of a standard sidewalk you'd find in any neighborhood in the city that the developer would be, because it's a secondary roadway. But can you talk about the sidewalks people might see on Congress, what it might look like based on subchapter E?
Mark, was that a question or a statement?
I was asking you so people would understand.
Yes, there will be wider sidewalks under the commercial design standards, where you have just like the same sidewalks you have for the buildings that are the mixed-use buildings you already currently have just north of San Elmo, just south of Ben White, that have already been built, like 4111. It's a case I worked with you guys and with Mario too. Mario been working with this contact team for quite a while. So 4111 is, you have the sidewalks and the trees, and that's what's required. They're wider sidewalks.
I want people get a sense of what can happen with the sidewalks. So Mario, do you have another question or comment?
Yeah, it's just real quick. I'm familiar with North Bluff, and I've been hearing for several years about the sidewalks. The sidewalks are in need, and they need to be there. It's a big concern. It's a safety concern. So I would ask Alice, if we're going to forfeit some things on some other things that we sometimes ask for or we may need, I would highly recommend looking at the sidewalks for that particular area, and we can have more of a discussion about that. But the sidewalk is going to be probably one thing that's going to be needed. Thank you.
Yeah, the sidewalks along North Bus. It's an incomplete network at this time. Well, Alice, do you have any final comments before we wrap up our meeting and enjoy the thunder? I don't know, thundering where you are. It's in South Austin. It's making a lot of noise. So.
Well, it is over here too. At least we're getting some rain. Thank goodness.
Yes.
So yeah. I'll just conclude by saying that I'll look forward to talking to the contact team and the neighbors, to Jesus, Danielle, and Jean Gokink, right? I'm sorry. Gokink, yeah. Yes. Thank you for that correction. And right. Jean Adams, and I'll see you guys at the contact team meeting. Mario will just gonna hopefully work this one the same way we did the case, the other cases we've had where we've had a positive outcome. We work together well. Thank you for your working with us on that one recently, Mario and Jean.
Yes, thank you, Alice and Mark and Maureen and everybody else and the neighbors for joining. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank everybody who took some time.
Have a safe night. Yeah, thank you, Maureen and Mark, for facilitating this meeting.
And I wish everybody have a good night. Hope we get good rain, and thank you for participating in your community.
Thank you all as well.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Bye, Mark.
Bye, Alice.